Hello and welcome to Nationwide, reaching you live from our studio in Abuja. I'm Ayo Deji. Makinde, thanks for joining us. As the world marks Press Freedom Day, President Muhammadu Buhari says his administration is committed to freedom of the press, but urges media professionals to wield freedom responsibly and without licentiousness. A statement, this is media advisor Femi Adesina celebrating the landmark day with the media. The president notes that freedom of the press is an irreducible minimum in a democracy that would flourish. He says the fact that everything is permitted does not mean that there are no rules of correctness, particularly in a polity seriously challenged as Nigeria's. The media, he emphasizes, must be sensitive to what the country is going through, saying anything that would exacerbate the situation and further inflame passions and emotions should be avoided. President Buhari pledges greater cooperation with the media to discharge its duties in line with the theme of this year's World Press Freedom Day, information as a public good, urging those who manage information for governments to do everything in public interests. Meanwhile, President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, has felicitated with Nigerian journalists as they celebrate this year's World Press Freedom Day. A statement by the Special Advisor to the President of the Senate on Media and Publicity, Ola Awoniyi, Senator Lawan, noted that May 3rd is set aside every year to remind governments around the world of their obligation to facilitate and respect press freedom, and also to remind journalists of the need to respect the ethics of their profession. The President of the Senate observed that Nigeria has a vibrant media that has always resolutely defended freedom of speech, which enables journalists to effectively discharge their roles as the watchdog of the society and the fourth estate of the realm. Lawan stressed that the Ninth Senate and the National Assembly in general will never pass any law that will inhibit freedom of the press, but rather work with the media to further enhance the practice of the profession in the country. The Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19 has announced some measures taken to protect Nigeria from the deadly variant of COVID-19. The report.
Statement from the chairman of the Presidential Steering Committee and Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, says, after a risk assessment, an interim travel advisory has been issued on passengers and airlines from India, Turkey and Brazil as precautionary measures to minimize the risks of a surge in COVID-19 cases in Nigeria. 1. Reduction of the validity period of pre-boarding COVID-19 PCR test for all Nigeria-bound passengers from 96 hours to 72 hours. Henceforth, PCR test results older than 72 hours before departure shall not be accepted from these countries. Secondly, any person who has visited Brazil, India, or Turkey within 14 days preceding travel to Nigeria shall be denied entry into Nigeria. This, however, does not apply to passengers who transited through these countries. Thirdly, airlines and passengers who fail to comply with the regulations shall mandatorily pay a penalty of $3,500 for each defaulting passenger. Fourthly, non-Nigerians will be denied entry and returned to the country of embarkation at cost to the airline. Finally, Nigerians and those with permanent resident permit shall undergo 7 days of mandatory quarantine in a government-approved facility at the point of entry city and at cost to the passenger. Other measures announced by the PSC include passengers taking COVID-19 PCR tests within 24 hours of arrival. If positive, the passenger shall be admitted within a government-approved treatment center in line with national treatment protocols. If negative, the passenger shall continue to remain in quarantine and made to undergo a repeat PCR test on day 7 of their quarantine. This travel advisory takes effect from Tuesday, 4th of May, 2021, and guidelines are subject to review after initial period of 4 weeks.
Let's cross over to security matters. The Nigerian Navy's newest offshore survey vessel, NNS Lana, is on the third leg of a homeward journey to Nigeria. The ship is expected to reach Banjul, Gambia on May 4, 2021 and will be received by officials of the Nigerian High Commission and Nigerian Navy in Gambia. Defense correspondent Najatu Tijani reports.
There she goes. Casting off into the horizon, NNS Lana is homeward bound. The Navy's newest offshore vessel's journey to Nigeria is following a circuitous route after an elaborate ceremony in France. With ports of call in Lisbon, Portugal and Las Palmas, Spain, NNS Lana is currently en route Banjul, Gambia, in the third leg of her journey, which will see her stopping over in Ghana before finally coming home. NNS Lana, also known as A499, is a replacement vessel for one which was decommissioned more than 10 years ago. The new vessel is purposely built and equipped with state-of-the-art equipment to enable the Nigerian Navy conduct hydrographic surveys. It is also capable of search and rescue operations as well as patrol duties and is expected to boost the nation's maritime security, especially around the Gulf of Guinea, which is a known pirate hotspot. Najatu Tijani, NTA News.
The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Tahiru, has approved the renaming of the ongoing counterinsurgency operation in the northeast from Operation Lafia Doli to Operation Hadinke. The statement, the Director Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Muhammad Yerima, says this is premised on the fact that the Nigerian Army has made a lot of progress over the years and needs to realign for better efficiency. Similarly, the redesignation of the Army super camps, which now reflects the nomenclature of the formations and units, followed by the name of the locations they occupy, while sub-units are redesigned as forward operating bases, followed by the name of their locations. All these changes are with immediate effect. Ebonyi State has been in the news over a series of killings and attacks on both private and public property. As part of efforts to tackle the security challenges head-on, Governor David Umahi has inaugurated 40 Sienna and 20 Hilux vans fully equipped with communication gadgets for security agencies in the state. The report.
Governor David Umahi, who expressed displeasure over the security challenges being witnessed in parts of the country, including Ebonyi State, said it is time for Nigerians to say no to killings and embrace peace for the good of the nation.
It's a time to have a rethink. The resources of this nation can build this nation. It is not about EFCC or ICPC. It is you and God. You and God. And that is what is the problem of this country. Not what we say on the faces of television. Whether you are banned or not banned, it's a time to engage. Use the good people that know the bad people to engage and discuss.
While inaugurating the operational vehicles procured for the security agencies, Governor Umahi commended their efforts at safeguarding lives and properties in the state. He urged them not to relent, adding that more operational vehicles are on the way.
I've asked Khan to identify this, our youths. We are not after them. We've not asked security agencies to kill them, no. We have rather asked our Southeast people to engage everyone that is aggrieved.
Governor Umahi also used the occasion to thank the security agencies for the peace they have restored at Efiom in Ohuku local government area of the state, where members of the community were at war with themselves. In Abakaliki, Ijoma Peter Wante, NTA News.
Still on security matters, custodial centers in Nigeria must be made inviolable. The Minister of Interior, Rauf Aregbesola, gave the charge during a meeting with squadron leaders in Abuja on the spate of jailbreaks across the country. Victor Azu reports that the minister vowed to hold them responsible.
These are squadron commanders of Nigeria's correctional centers. They head the armed squads responsible for providing security in custodial centers nationwide. This summoned by the minister is an account of recent jailbreaks across the nation, which Acting Controller General John Mraburi admits has become worrisome.
The jailbreaks and attacks on our facilities is becoming alarming. Consequently, I decided to invite the officers to interact with the Honorable Minister on the way forward on how to curb future occurrences.
It's a situation that the minister wants confined to the past. Custodial centers have become red zones, he says.
The weapons you carry and the instruments you have are to be lawfully deployed for maximum effect in protecting the facilities and people within. Anyone or group of persons that decides to attack them should live to regret it.
Recall that there have been jailbreaks in Benin and Owerri, with unsuccessful attempts in Kano and Lagos in recent times. In Abuja, Victor Azu, NTA News.
Benin Network Center is our first port of call on nationwide. Over now to Ugochikuka for the next set of reports.
Thank you, Ayodeji. Welcome to Benin. The imperative to step up the productivity of workers and generate ideas which will unleash rapid development in the state were among the highlights of this year's May Day celebration in Benin. Jude Abuku reports on this and the blessing of workers' tools.
Governor Obaseki enjoined workers to be optimistic, noting that the current economic challenges in the country require the deep thinking of both the government and civil servants to fashion out ways of resetting the economy on progressive trajectory that will guarantee better staff welfare and more conducive working environment.
Our ability to do more is contingent on our ability to expand the tax net and get more people to pay taxes so that government will have more revenues to sustain decent jobs and provide social protection for our people.
Labour leaders in the state commended the developmental strides of Governor Godwin Obaseki, but appealed to government to abolish 65% and 35% subvention policy, which is affecting some of the state's institutions, among other demands.
Congress observe with nostalgia and dismay the dilapidating and collapsing nature of state-owned tertiary institutions, where all these conditions of workers are now in a dilapidating situation, resulting from the non-payment of salaries and other entitlements.
Meanwhile, the Catholic Archdiocese of Benin, in commemorating the feast of St. Joseph the Worker, which coincided with Workers' Day, has blessed the working tools of workers in Edo State and Nigeria at large. In Benin, Jude Abugu, NTA News.
And elsewhere, 30 persons in the Catholic Archdiocese of Benin have benefited from the SMART project, a sustainable measure against trafficking in persons, a justice, development and peace center initiative. The empowerment, worth millions of naira, is to commemorate the 10th Episcopal installation anniversary of the Archbishop, His Grace Augustine Akubeze. Adugbejo Jegba reports that the Deputy Governor of Edo State, Philip Shaibu, mentored the beneficiaries.
Items presented to the beneficiaries include hair dryers, washing hand basin, 2.5 kVA generators, tables and chairs, tools, cosmetics packs, ring lights, sewing machines and other ancillaries. The Deputy Governor Philip Shaibu, whose admonition to the beneficiaries was basically to mentor, urged them to take the skills acquired seriously and use the advantage to secure a basic position in their lives and future development.
This program, we are happy because your template has become the standard.
The Archbishop of the Diocese, His Grace Augustine Akubeze, was represented by the Chancellor of the Diocese, Very Reverend Father Michael Oyanofo. He says no less than 30 persons from 3 local government areas were trained in various trades to make them self-reliant.
We have seen in history that many Nigerians have been trafficked. We have seen in history that many Nigerians have been deceived.
High point was the presentation of starter packs, 10,000 naira cash, and a 6-month house rent to the beneficiaries by the Deputy Governor.
I feel very happy, very grateful for this privilege given to me.
Actually, I'm so very grateful in all those things that Catholic Church is helping out.
The Smart P project started in 2018 with the aim of campaigning against trafficking and irregular migration. In Benin, Adogbeji Ojegba, NTA News.
Our break is next. The news continues in a moment. Please stay tuned.
The federal government of Nigeria is implementing an off-grid electrification program for the deployment of solar electrification projects in primary health care centers, unity schools, and households in vulnerable off-grid communities across the country. This will be delivered by the Federal Ministry of Power through the Rural Electrification Agency. It's tagged Energy for All, Mass Rural Electrification. The program is being implemented under the National Economic Sustainability Plan, geared towards supporting the country's economic recovery in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The goal is to deploy mini-grids at 200 primary health care centers and provision of solar street lighting to adjoining communities, and the distribution of solar home systems to 104 unity schools. It will be implemented over a 12-month period. Let's support this awesome drive, as it will create jobs and ultimately contribute to the goal of having at least 30% of total electricity supply from renewable sources by 2030. Rural Electrification Agency, announcer.
My name is Boss Mustafa, the Secretary to the Government and the Chairman of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19. I've just had the rare privilege of taking my first dose of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, and I can tell you that we are doing very well in terms of our response and the administration of the vaccines all over the country. As strategic leaders, we are supposed to lead by example, and the President did precisely that on Saturday with the Vice President, and we are continuing in that particular direction. The essence of taking these vaccines is to help us really fight this COVID-19 virus, and the combination of the non-pharmaceutical measures and the vaccine is the way to go in 2021 and thereafter.
Contemporary times require practical skills to remain competitive and relevant in your organization. Therefore, take advantage of NTA TV College short proficiency courses to sharpen your professional skill. Protocol, Event Management and Public Relations. Date 3rd May to 14th May 2021. 2 weeks. Intermediate Camera Operation Techniques. Date 17th May to 11th June 2021. 4 weeks. The course fee for the 4-week course is 100,000 naira per participant. The fee for the 2-week course is 80,000 naira, while the course fee for the 1-week course is 40,000 naira only. Accommodation inclusive. Venue for all the courses is the serene and secure environment of NTA TV College near Old Government House, Rayfield, Jos. For more inquiries, please call 0803-314-4383 or 0806-980-9807. NTA TV College, Jos, training you to be the best you want to be.
It's the dawn of a new era on NTA's flagship program, the Sports Parliament, revitalized with lots of varieties, including feedback responses from viewers. Sports Parliament, the weekly sports show that exposes all the intrigues in the Nigerian sports sector and projects an agenda on the way forward for Nigerian sports. On NTA every Thursday at 10:30 p.m., running for 1 whole hour, discussing sports. The parliamentarians are more committed than ever to enlighten the viewers as the Sports Parliament takes it to a whole new level on the floor of the House. Keep a date with the Sports Parliament as motions are moved every Thursday on the floor of the House. Mr. Speaker, with his gavel to harmonize sports resolutions. The House have it.
You're welcome back. It's another day to celebrate the resilience and sacrifices of workers and Nigeria was not left out on this global celebration. Interestingly, however, the Nigerian worker and the government are sharing a common sentiment on improved welfare packages. This was the position of labor leaders and government officials at the 2021 Workers' Day celebrations in Abuja. Thomas Ogbetere reports.
Compared to the one before the COVID-19 pandemic, the 2021 Workers' Day celebration was marked low-key, while still featuring the traditional march past. Some who spoke with NTA crew say there is need for a harmonious relationship and understanding between government at all levels and the different unions geared towards ensuring improved welfare for workers. They also used the opportunity to call for a drastic action towards tackling the problem of insecurity bedeviling the nation.
Security is a collective task. We reiterate our call for improved social protection and investment in social services to deal with human insecurity.
When we come together like this, we try to look at issues and then see how conditions of service can be improved upon, how we can also collaborate with government to ensure that the economy is doing very well.
If you don't pay the worker, and then the other businesses, other collateral effects of on other businesses begin to, amplify. It simply means that so many people will be out of job.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who was represented at the occasion by the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, assured Nigerian workers of government's unwavering support.
And workers in turn have utilized the key instrument of social dialogue to unlock workplace cohesion and cooperation by reaching social pacts with their employers.
The consensus will be for workers and government to look for harmonious ways to resolving issues before they get to the level of industrial action. The theme of this year's workers' celebration is COVID-19, social and economic crisis, challenges for decent work, social protection, and people's welfare. In Abuja, Thomas Ogbetere, NTA News.
Still on labor matters, Kano State government has approved a 5-year extension of service for teaching staff at all levels. Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje disclosed this at an award dinner to commemorate the 2021 Workers' Day. Abdullahi Mustafa has details.
Due to COVID-19 pandemic, Ramadan fast and high temperatures, normal activities for the commemoration of the 2021 Workers' Day were suspended by the Kano State Council of the Nigeria Labour Congress. Instead, a get-together to reflect on success stories and challenges was organized. It was also used to honor civil servants and labor leaders who distinguished themselves through selfless service. Alleged unfriendly labor relations in the private sector was equally brought to the fore and was among the demands presented to the government for intervention.
Attempt for the unionization of workers in some of the private sector organizations in the state is usually truncated.
Governor Ganduje, who assured of immediate action on labor's plight, also announced approval for the extension of teachers' service years and age limit.
We have decided to increase the retirement age from 60 to 65. And this also applies to our lecturers in tertiary institutions.
He assured that government will support civil servants in the state towards securing agricultural loans and grants from federal agencies. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
Frama is in our Jos Network Center and she'll be giving us the next set of reports on Nationwide. Good evening, Frama.
Ayodeji, and welcome to Jos. Federal government says it will look into the challenges of School of Medical Laboratory Technology Jos with a view to achieving its mandate. Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Ehanire, made the pledge while addressing management of the institution. Grace Akwagotip has details.
Established 1954, the Federal School of Medical Laboratory has the mandate of training medical laboratory scientists and by extension provide manpower for the health sector. As part of his official assignment in Jos, the Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Ehanire, visited the institution to assess progress of work on the permanent site. While addressing management not to relent in working towards achieving its target, Dr. Ehanire said federal government will continue to discharge its responsibilities to Nigerians.
Problems are well noted, and I've already told you just now to put them in a writing, in bullet points, because each one will have to be responded to by different organs of government through the permanent secretary, but various organs who will have to be able to take up the points that you have raised.
For management of the institution, timely intervention of government in the provision of facility is key for its growth. In Jos, Grace Akwegutip, NTA News.
Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Tallen, has asked Nigerians to work towards peace for meaningful development. This was at a Peacebuilding Conference of Christian Faith Ministry in Jos. Bilkisu Nuhu has more.
The Minister of Women Affairs described peace as a condition for socio-economic and political development of any nation. She charged Nigerians to continue to make peace in their various places of abode, adding that the federal government will support programs geared towards harmonious living.
Women are committed to any peace-building process, and I pray that any peace-building process should ensure that women are fully involved in order to get the desired result.
The Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Ehanire, also says the vision of the ministry is worthwhile as it fosters peace and understanding among adherents of various religions. The minister later inspected healthcare facilities of the ministry.
It mirrors what we have been talking about, what we are looking for, what we are asking for, collaboration between public and private sector. In this case, it's a faith-based sector, and it shows a very good example. It's a model hospital for a small community. It's something worth replicating.
In Jos, Bilkisu Nuhu, NTA News.
This is Nationwide. The news continues with Ayodeji in Abuja.
Thanks, Frama. Please remember that you can get more news and updates on www.nta.ng or follow us on our Twitter handle at NTA News Now. You can also like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/NTA Network News, and also stay connected and subscribe to our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/NTA News Online. Also remember to watch our news live streaming at www.nta.ng/live. Let's move on Nationwide. The African Development Bank and the International Fund for Agricultural Development, in partnership with other development organizations, have pledged to work closely with African leaders to address rising hunger on the continent and shore up adequate financing to transform and modernize Africa's food production. This is in response to the impact of climate change, rising fragility and conflict, and locust invasions in East and Southern Africa, taking a toll on the continent. Justin Bemunyi reports.
This development was at a two-day high-level dialogue which focused on modernizing food production, making African agriculture more business-oriented, and strengthening agriculture value chains. Indications from speakers was that across the continent, hunger poses an even greater risk than COVID-19, as the number of people living with hunger increased from 214 million to 246 million between 2015 and 2020. Suggestions are that agricultural and agro-business-related activities could provide employment opportunities for millions of young Africans who account for 70% of the population. The African Development Bank President, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, opined that getting new and appropriate technologies into the hands of African farmers is a key part of addressing Africa's agriculture and food security needs, and unless Africa shows strong collective resolve and turn ambition into reality, the continent will be confronted with enormous food shortages.
Your Excellencies, we need your strong political leadership to turn Africa into an agricultural powerhouse. We have the technologies. We have the technology delivery platform to do it. We now need better policy incentives. We need greater access to financing to support agricultural research and transformation. And we need to develop special agro-industrial processing zones to add value to food produce.
Justin Ebonyi, NTA.
Meanwhile, a coalition of multilateral development banks and development partners have pledged over $17 billion in financing to address rising hunger on the continent and to improve food security. These funds were pledged on the final day of a two-day high-level dialogue called Feeding Africa, Leadership to Scale Up Successful Innovations. Again, Justin Ebonyi has details.
The African Development Bank and the UN's International Fund for Agricultural Development hosted the event in partnership with the Forum for Agricultural Research in Africa and the CGIAR System Organization. 17 African heads of state signed on the commitment to boost agricultural production by doubling current productivity levels through the scaling up of agro-technologies that will include investing in access to markets and promoting agricultural research and development. Of the overall amount pledged, more than $10 billion came from the African Development Bank, which said it would invest $1.57 billion on scaling up 10 selected priority commodities over the next 5 years to help countries achieve self-sufficiency. Another $8.83 billion will go towards building strong value chains for these commodities over the next 5 years, and this will include programs to create opportunities for young people, particularly women. Relatively, IFAD said it aimed to provide an additional $1.5 billion to support national efforts to transform food and agricultural systems in Africa over the next 3 years.
When we said with the SDG, nobody should be left behind, this is what we want to implement in the case of Feeding Africa on one of your five high. And I want to really insist that the partnership is where we are.
One thing, Anne-Marie, that for us, myself and Gilbert, we're going away with that is really critical, is the call for the establishment of the financing facility for food security and nutrition in Africa, to help to scale up efforts, to scale up technologies and interventions to achieve food and nutritional security.
Justin Ebonyi, NTA News.
Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Mohamed Sabo Nanono, has suspended with immediate effect the leadership of Federal College of Agricultural Produce Technology, Kano, over protracted internal crises inimical to the progress of the college. Muhammad Rabiu Ali has details.
Since the coming of the Management Board of the Federal College of Agricultural Produce Technology, Kano, about 2 years ago, leadership crisis has continued to hinder progress and academic performance of the college. To tackle the lingering crisis, Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, through the Executive Secretary Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria, Professor Garba Hamidu Sharubutu, decided to intervene on the matter by suspending the key actors in the crisis. To this end, chairman and members of the board, provost and active registrar of the college have been suspended.
The Honorable Minister and of course the federal government cannot tolerate a situation where for 1 year academic activities have been stalled, people are collecting their salary, and yet the people that are targeted, have not been the best. You know the cardinal principle of this administration, this regime, the cardinal principle is discipline, to entrench productivity. And one of the things that the Honorable Minister signed with Mr. President is the fact that he must take agriculture right to rural areas.
He lamented how the college is lagging behind in terms of progress compared to other sister colleges in other parts of the country, which he says have gone extra mile to establish outreach centers in their respective zones. Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
Now it's time to join Susan in our Makurdi Network Center for more reports on Nationwide. Hello, Susan.
Hello, Ayodeji. It's good to have you join us in Makurdi. A group, Benue State Youth Congress of Nigeria, has held a peaceful protest in Makurdi, the Benue State capital, demanding that government should use all within its powers to halt the killings of innocent citizens of the state and the nation at large. The protest, which started from the Wurukum roundabout, terminated at the government house, Makurdi. Godwin Inalegu reports.
The youth carried placards with various inscriptions asking the government to immediately end the killings and attacks in Benue State and other parts of the country. Leader of the group, Isaac Uto, who noted that more than 20 lives have been lost within the last 1 month, has called on the federal government to act fast to avoid self-help and the breakdown of law and order.
It's the interest of our dear state. It's the interest of the youth.
It will be recalled that last week, 7 internally displaced persons were killed at Abegana camp along Makurdi Lafia Road by unknown gunmen. In Makurdi, Godwin Inalegu, NTA News.
As Muslim faithfuls are beginning to count down to the end of the Ramadan fast, prices of food items in various markets of Makurdi metropolis have continued to go up. Traders attributed the continued increase in prices to the high cost of purchasing and transportation and not directly related to the Ramadan fast. Sandra Doe Wesiakene, who visited some markets, reports.
A visit to major markets in Makurdi shows that prices of food items have continued to go up as compared to about 2 months ago, when the prices were relatively lower. A measure of onions that was selling for 500 naira now goes for 700 naira. A measure of beans goes for 2,000 naira against 1,900 naira, while some varieties are being sold for 1,950 naira as against 1,600 naira. 10 tubers of big yam are selling for 6,000 naira, medium tubers 4,000 naira, while small tubers are being sold for 3,000 naira. Sellers, however, attribute this to high cost of purchase and transportation from the hinterlands.
Before they say 1 bag, 7,000. Today I go sell 10,000. I go add money, I don't go up.
As we cost like that, may they help us, may they buyer as we they put. Yeah, our money may they come out. A bag of gari from ground is 30,000 naira, not expensive. And if you buy and come now, you they tell people price. For each bag, 35,000 naira with a question. They know they will buy.
Sellers are therefore hoping that excessive levies on farm products will be reduced to enable beat down prices to affordable level. In Makurdi, Sandra Doisi Akeme, NTA News.
And that's our package from Makurdi. Nationwide continues with Ayodeji in Abuja after this break.
Nigerian youths are about the greatest assets the country has at the moment. It is therefore not surprising that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is strategically responding to the yearnings of the youth through multiple projects and programs. Youth entrepreneurship support years by Bank of Industry, the Youth Investment Fund by the CBN, and several other conditional cash transfer programs. Recruitment of 774,000 social workers, majority of whom are youths, and so many other projects that are beneficial to youths directly or indirectly. If the administration can do all this, definitely with a degree of patience and time, it can achieve more. Nigerian youths must come together to say no to terrorism, no to vandalism, and no to all disruptive tendencies. Hashtag Youth for Greater Nigeria. Pacifying the youths, unifying the nation.
NTA News 24. A 24-hour news station brings to you news and happenings 7 days a week.
News at 10 a.m., news update at 11 and 1 p.m.
News desk at 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. and late evening news at 11 p.m.
Follow us on any of our platforms and keep abreast of events and current affairs within and outside our shores.
We are on DSTV channel 419, GoTV channel 46,
Star Times channel 101 and Free TV channel 703.
Join us.
Glad you're still with us. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has confirmed 43 new cases of COVID-19 in the country. In the latest figures released by the center, Lagos has 28 new infections, with the FCT and Rivers states posting 4 new cases each. Others are Ekiti, Kaduna and Ogun states with 2 new infections each, as Bauchi State completes the day's tally with 1 new infection. Nigeria has now recorded a total of 165,153 confirmed cases of COVID-19, out of which 155,109 were successfully treated and discharged, while death toll remains at 2,063. Adiola is in our Lagos Network Center and she'll be bringing us latest reports from that axis. Good evening, Adiola.
Good evening, Ayo. The law, which prescribes 25 years imprisonment for cultists, 15 for landlord who facilitates any cult-related activities, and 2 years for parents of any cultist arrested and jailed, will strictly be enforced to reduce crime rate in Lagos. Commissioner of Police, Lagos State Command, Hakeem Odumosu, reiterated this while briefing newsmen on the state of security in Lagos. Diana Ajale reports.
So and you got 10 years in prison, then I have robbery. So when you now come up from robbery 10 years and again, you go rob, then a devil.
The alarming cases of security have continued to pose serious threats to lives and property, and Lagos State, being a mega city, is not spared. Between the months of March and April, the state has experienced 93 armed robbery cases, although 54 were foiled. Also, 42 traffic robbers and 18 cultists were nabbed, while 134 arms and ammunition were recovered, alongside 1 stolen vehicle. 26-year-old suspect Daramola Shegu, alleged leader of the Aye cultist group terrorizing the Ikorodu axis of the metropolis, is also in the police net.
The budget how much? 60,000. Each of them. The 2, 5,000. The budget now to go and kill antelope. To kill who? Talking now. To kill your rival cultists.
Commissioner of Police, Lagos State Command, Hakeem Odumosu, urged the people to be more security conscious and shun crime.
The society cannot be lawless. When they start attacking police, security officers now, they are creating lawlessness, and we are not going to accept that to happen. So those who want that mind, I strongly appeal to them to stop it. If they don't, we shall meet force with force.
The police boss said, with more collaboration among security agencies, he is hopeful that safety will be more guaranteed. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
Upholding justice and ensuring sustainable policy on social security are critical solutions offered by Islam to check insecurity in any given society. This was re-echoed by Islamic scholars at a Ramadan lecture organized by Director of Islamic Affairs, Nigerian Army in Lagos. Lane Leneke completes the report.
Guest speaker Sadiq Usman Kadara of the Department of Religious and Peace Studies, Lagos State University, said the best option to curbing insecurity is prevention. He stressed that Islamic solution to insecurity lies in reshaping the thoughts of the populace with the teachings of the Holy Quran. This way they can enjoy goodness and forbid evil.
For individual, every citizen of this country has a role to play in order for this nation to be secured.
Director of Islamic Affairs, Nigerian Army, Brigadier General Mustafa remarked that victory only comes from Allah. He enjoined officers and men to seize the opportunity of drawing closer to their Creator through prayers, steadfastness, and patience.
It's a responsibility of parents to educate their children, to monitor their movement, command them to do the right thing, or stop them when they discover that they are doing things which is dangerous to them and dangerous to the society in which they are living.
Peaceful coexistence. There is no nation that can prosper under anarchy, in crisis. We need to work together, both the Christians and the Muslims.
The annual Ramadan lecture is one in series organized by the Directorate of Islamic Affairs of the Nigerian Army. It has as its theme, Threats to National Security, Islamic Solutions. In Lagos, Lane Lenake, NTA News.
And those are the stories from here. Ayo, it's back to you.
Thanks, Adiola. New variants comes with new assignments for the medical world. In most cases, nations go inward for solutions. So, in this report, Lane Lenake takes a look at what Nigerian scientists and researchers are doing to ensure the nation is not overwhelmed by the growing number of new variants.
It's another calamity for India as the country struggles to breathe due to the new COVID-19 variants that is causing death of thousands.
Our sincere apologies for the film being rolled at the moment. Let's check some other stories on Nationwide and tell you that no fewer than 7 ongoing federal intervention road projects have been executed in Osun State out of about 377 road projects in various communities across the country. The Minister of State for Budget, National Planning, Clem Agba, revealed this during a courtesy visit to Osun State Governor Boyega Oyetola in Osogbo. Correspondent Joshua Ogunjide reports.
Being part of the resolution of the National Council for Development Planning earlier this year, the federal government of Nigeria has commenced its 377 intervention project on roads in 266 communities across the Federation. The courtesy visit by the Minister of State for Budget and National Planning, Prince Clem Agba, is therefore of profound importance so as to highlight how Osun State would be a beneficiary. Work has commenced in earnest on 5 federal road projects by the Federal Road Maintenance Agency, FEMA, as well as 2 other road projects under the Rural Road Intervention Program. Geospatial web application will be adopted for the citizens' appraisal of road projects being executed within their individual locality.
What we plan to do is that once budgets are approved and signed by Mr. President, we will layer those projects' locations on the Nigerian map, download it through Grid 3 to the web application, which we call the IMAP.
Governor Oyetola commended the Minister of Budget and National Planning for being supportive in line with the present administration's infrastructure development agenda.
We engaged the Minister of Finance in respect of the extension of the relief for this suspension of deductions. Unfortunately, we not benefited from that. So I want him to at least put in work for us in respect of that.
The ball is to be kept rolling by FEMA in collaboration with the Osun State Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning for monitoring and final completion. In Oshubu, Joshua Gujidi, NTA News.
The United Republic of Tanzania is organizing an interactive event with the banner Tanzania-Nigeria Tourism Investment and Trade Forum. The High Commissioner to Nigeria, Benson Alfred Banner, says the event is pursuant to Tanzania's economic diplomacy strategy, which seeks to promote stronger bilateral relations between the two countries. Charles Alpha has details.
Nigeria and Tanzania's tourist investment and trade presents huge markets to the African continent and the world. And realizing their full potentials requires that the two countries find out what works for their economies and the country's survival in challenging times. In search of the way forward, the United Republic of Tanzania is hosting prominent African leaders and business gurus in a forum on the 4th and 6th of next month in Abuja and Lagos. Tanzania High Commissioner to Nigeria, Ambassador Benson Banner, says the forum is expected to increase the number of tourists from Nigeria to Tanzania, while also creating larger markets for Tanzanian products in Nigeria.
The forum is expected to increase the number of major Nigerian business companies with investments in Tanzania from the current 5 to about 8 by December 2022.
The High Commissioner said the Tanzania-Nigeria visa policy, which stipulates 3 months earlier application to Nigeria seeking to do business with Tanzania, is currently being reviewed for easy trading.
Our people and government have been working tirelessly to look into the possibility of also revising the Tanzanian visa policy.
8 organizations from state and non-state stakeholders in investment, tourism and trade sectors from Tanzania and Nigeria are expected to make presentations at the forum in Abuja. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
And now sport.